Okay, again, guys, you are welcome back again to our free tutorial and free section, right? And just like what I will say, this is actually a YouTube material that will go to our YouTube, right? So I will ensure everyone to really subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can comment, like, then also share with your friends to subscribe to YouTube channel. Then you can as well get as many educational materials that we provide in this section. All right, today I will be sharing something very, very important with you guys. I've seen many people not using this correctly, right? I did not learn this from anywhere, right? Breaker block, I'll be talking about breaker block. I'll be talking about how to use a king OB, right? And how to use a fair value gap, right? So for copyright reason, breaker is actually something I've heard from, not directly from ICT, even though it might be an ICT concept, all right, I don't know really. I learned this firstly from Nado, right? So giving him that honor because I learned that from him, and also from a particular channel on YouTube, which is Price Action stuff. I can't really remember that channel, so that is where I learned. First heard about a breaker block, so I just have to uh, do much more of studies on about that, and I incorporated that with my study. Then, likewise, King Obi, how to use it. It's actually called King or whatever name they might have called it, and it's actually from a particular group which they are trading the supply and demand, right? So they are not trading it the way I'm using it. I just saw that and I saw that, oh, it's a very great concept. So I have to use it in line with my own methodology in how to determine a rejection zone and how to use it. Then on fair value gap, which is actually ICT term, right? It's not my word, it's ICT, right? Fair value gap is also the word called what's the other name for it now? That's liquidity void, right? Liquidity void, or some people will call it imbalance, right? So we have different names that people are calling it, but it's very, very important that you know how to use it. Many of these people that are actually communicating this thing online, they don't teach how you can make use of them, all right? And as many of you that you've learned about my LPC pattern, you can easily incorporate this in how you trade and how you make use of this. So I'll be teaching you how to use the fair value gap, how to use the King OB, where exactly should you spot this King OB, this fair value gap, and breaker block. Right. Okay, let's quickly start doing the business. Now, right now, you know that what are the characteristics of an OB, right? I've already taught you how to determine a strong OB, right? So we have characteristics of an OB or an order block. Number one, we said that it must take out liquidity. That shows liquidity graph. I'll name that as LG. Rule number two, right? How to determine an OB, right? We have to start from there. Rule number two, we says that it must have a significant move, right? A significant move, right? It must surely have a significant move, right? It must have a significant move. Then rule number three, right? It engulfed, like engulfing. That's rule number three, right? Sorry about my typo. Then number four, it breaks market structure. Break market structure. So these are the major characteristics of an OB right now. And how this is for an order block now, be it a bullish order block or a bearish order block. Now, it is part of these characteristics that would not form a breaker block, which is what you call a breaker, or you can call it LSB. What's another name that is being called? You can call it BMS, right? That's breaking market structure. So these are the things, these are the characteristics of what you are going to look out for in there. Now, number one is the first thing you must take note of is this BMS and liquidity graph. So this is the two things you are actually going to look out for. But the major thing we are actually going to look out for um, is this BMS. It must actually take out that liquidity, and that liquidity spot is what we call BMS. Let me quickly show you that. Now, when we have something like this, now this is the characteristics of another block, just like what I've shared with you. But for a breaker block, we have something like this. We have a high, right? We have a low. Now, this now serves as a liquidity zone. Can you see that? This serves as a liquidity zone. Right now, when markets now come back and break this high, So we can call that a break in market structure, right? Right. Now, how can we now interchange a break in market structure with a liquidity graph, just like what we have in rule number 1? How can we interchange it for each other? Now, when markets now come back, this particular zone must surely be a bullish order block, which is the last bearish candle that created the market, that actually created this particular BMS, or that caused the market to surely come to this zone and break this high. Are you following? So that is what we call a bullish order block. You know, the characteristics of a bullish order block is that, now, take note of that. Rule number 1, it engulfed or it took out liquidity. This might not take out liquidity. Please pay attention to what I'm saying. Right, let me draw it so that you can actually be very large. We have something like this. We have a higher low, then we have higher high. Now, this is considered as a break in the market structure. Now, pay attention to how I am going to define a breaker. Now, this particular zone is an order block, right? Is an order block, which is a bullish order block. And why do we consider it as an order block? Is because it must fulfill at least 2 of these characteristics of a strong order block. It must fulfill at least 2 characteristics of an order block. Right. Now, look at this zone, right? This can be considered as another block. Why? Because there is a significant move away from it. That's number 1. Can you see how this market actually moved away? And number 2, it breaks market structure. So this is automatically an order block. Now, why do we now call this particular order block a breaker block? So when this market now come back, right, to break this particular order block, then we call this LSB, right? LSB means last step broken, right? Or break in market structure, BMS, or you can call it breaker block, BB. Do you understand that? So this is the 3 names that you can really call that particular zone. You can give it your own name. As far as you know what you are doing, then you are fine, right? So this particular zone must be an order block that must surely break this market structure before we can see a breakdown and break this level. So we can now call this a breaker block. Why? Because it took out liquidity. Now, in our tutorial on liquidity zones, right? When I taught you on liquidity graph, liquidity zones, I said a good liquidity zones must not be taken out by 3 candles. It must be at most 2 candles, right? Or it should be a wick, which I said is actually very preferable, or 2 candles, right? 3 characteristics of a zone that should be called a liquidity graph, right? Number 1 is either a weak candle broke the zone, right? Number 2 is either a candle, right? Just a single candle broke the zone. Number 3 is either 2 candles. It must not exceed that. If we see probably about 3 or 4 candles breaking this particular zone, then we cannot readily say that this is a liquidity graph or trap zones, or the market has really taken out liquidity. Please take note of all these things I'm making mention of. I said, look at this eye. Let me say it in a simple term. This eye that we have here, right? That this eye that we have here must not be broken by more than 2 candles. That's actually the summary of that. Must not be broken by more than 2 candles for us to have an effective liquidity zone. Now, if this zone is broken, then market now came back to take out the other block that caused this zone to be broken, then we call this particular block a breaker block, right? That is LSB. That is break in market structure, or that is a BMS, right? Whatever things you want to call it. Now, it can be called 3 different names. You can call it BMS, which means a break in market structure, right? BMS, you can call it break in market structure. You can call it LSB, which is last step broken. Why is it called last step broken? This was the last step before this eye. So it's just like a staircase, right? It's like a staircase. So this was the last staircase before this eye, and this last staircase was broken. So this will suggest to us that the market wants to go bearish. Are you following? Then we have, we can also call it what? A BB, breaker block, right? A breaker block. So this is a very good characteristics of a breaker block. Now, I've already taught you the theory behind the breaker block. Let's quickly look at the practical aspect of it. Please just pay attention to the practical aspect of it. Now, let's quickly go back to our chart. Now, let's start from this. This is actually a daily candle. Then we can as well use it in any time frames, right? You can find the breaker block in any time frames, right? In any time frames, you can find the breaker block in any time frame. Now, how do we know if this pair will actually change position? Can you see? Can this be called a bullish order block? Yes. Why? Because it doesn't engulf, but there is a significant move away from that and took out liquidity. Now, this is a liquidity zone. Can you see this? This is a liquidity zone. Can you see the characteristics of a candle that must break out this particular zone? It must be at most 2 candles, right? At most 2 candles must break that. And with what we have here, we have just 1 candle, I mean a weak candle that broke that particular zone. A weak, can you see, that broke that particular zone. Now, this particular order block should serve as a support for us, whereby when markets come back to it, markets should get rejected there and continue to go higher, because this was the candle that took out this particular high that created this BMS here. This is actually a BMS. Now, it will not be called a liquidity grab until this particular last candle that broke this particular high is taken out. This particular zone that we have here, this particular candle, last bullish order block that we have here, will not be called a breaker block yet. It will be called a bullish order block, right? Because we want price to come back to it. It has fulfilled all the characteristics of an order block. So we want price to come back to it before, for us to consider it as a support zone and look for a buying trade. Then for us to continue to go higher. But what do we see here? Market came and broke this candle, right? Market came and broke this candle with a wick. So this is considered as a break in market structure. It's considered as a last step broken. It is considered as a BMS. It is considered as a breaker block. So whatever name you want to call it. So this will now suggest to us that this price want to go down. So that is how to locate a breaker block. A breaker block must break market structure, which in turn will turn to a liquidity grab. Right, this particular zone that was broken is considered as a break market structure. But after markets now came back and break this level, then it now turned to a liquidity grab. This now turned to a liquidity grab. Are you following? Because on a normal day, market should just break this level, then for us to see a bounce on this order block before we continue to go higher. But market broke this particular order block that's supposed to serve as our support level. So now we are now expecting market to do what? To be going down, right? So this particular zone will now be considered as a liquidity zone. So you will mark this zone and label it as a trap zone or a liquidity zone that was taken out. Are you following? So that is an example of a breaker block. Now we have another example here, which is actually a sell trade. Can you see this eye? Can you see this particular eye? This particular candle eye? Can you see another bullish order block here? Does this particular candle fulfill the characteristics of an order block? We need to ask that question. If it fulfills at least 2 characteristics of an order block, and the market came back to break it, then it's considered as a break in market structure, or it's considered as a BMS, or it's considered as a LSB, or it's considered as a breaker block, whatever name you want to call it. Now, this is a zone. Market broke this zone, right? Then there is a significant move away from this block. Now, this makes this particular block a what? An order block in the first instance. Now, instead of market to now come back and find a support in this particular candle, but market came back and did what? Market broke this zone. So, which now makes this particular candle a breaker block, or an LSB, or a BMS, or anything you want to call it. So, that makes it and qualify to be a breaker block. So this particular recording is actually made for people that are struggling to identify the breaker block and how to trade it. Now, I've already taught you how to identify the breaker block. So let's quickly look at probably a buying opportunity, right? Another zone that will show to us that this market will buy. Now, another thing you should take note of this is that a candle broke this high. Mind you, it must not exceed 2 candles, I mean, that must break this high. If it is now getting to 3 candles, then it is no longer a breaker block. Are you following? It's no longer a breaker block. Now, let's move on. So let me quickly look for a buying trade for you. Now, this is not a breaker. Many people have actually been taught this is not a breaker because this doesn't cause any break in market structure or any liquidity graph. So this is not a breaker. Take note of that. You can't call any candle a breaker. Now, this also cannot be considered as a breaker. Can you see this candle? How many candles do we have that broke this particular low? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it is not a good zone for us again, right? So let's just quickly look for a good buying trade. Then we'll move on from there. Right. Um, let me just look for a very good one. Now, look at this one. This took out liquidity. That shows break the structure, and this is another block. So you can easily mark this zone as what as your breaker block. So this is actually a buying one, right? They actually change the direction of the market to a buying zone. Can you see this? So this is very, very important for you to identify what a breaker block is or what a breaker block is not. Very, very important. Now, let's quickly look at how do we trade it? How do we trade breaker block? How do we trade fair value gap? How do you trade King Gobi? Now, I have already taught you how to trade, how to identify a fair value gap, right? And I've already taught you how to identify a King Gobi, which is very, very important. But I will quickly go back to it again. But I don't want to spend much time so that this video can actually be short as much as I actually want it. Having identified a breaker block, so let's quickly consider. Please, can you guys hear me? Please just talk to me. Can you guys hear me? Just type yes, 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 yes. Yeah, yeah. All right, all right, all right. So, how do you use a fair value gap? Now, you guys already know what a fair value gap is or an imbalance. But very quickly, let me show you that. Why do we call this zone? Now, this is a fair value gap. I don't know how ICT cheats it. How ICT really pass it across because I have not really studied the video of ICT concerning this. I just saw it on someone's start, that I saw it and I actually bring it into my own methodology. Really, I have not studied ICT video apart from Forex Maths 2017. That's actually the only one I've studied. So I don't know ICT. Most of you come to me to ask me questions on ICT material, but really I don't know it. And some of you that said I brought in ICT material and I took it into my own course, God will forgive you. Right. So this is a fair value gap, just like what I said, it's an ICT word, ICT gap time. I don't rename any other person's work uh, to actually bring it into my own time. No, I don't. I won't do that. Now, this is a fair value gap. It's also called liquidity void, and some people also call it imbalance. Now, look at this. Now, we are not trading it. I just want to give you an example of that so that you will be able to know. Now, it is a period or a particular candle that doesn't have any other activities in within it, just a particular direction, right? That shows it is only a particular participant that is dominant in the market, right? So it is a gap whereby it is this particular candle represent that this particular candle represent that it is only the seller that are dominating the market, right? Sellers are the one, and we don't have any buying participants so much in the market. So that is one of the reasons for this particular engulfed candle. Can you see this? Very, very important. No, so let me show you another one, right? This is another one. Can you see? It must be a gap between this week, can you see, and this week. That is how you mark it. If you include this week with it, that shows you have really included those people that are buying. Because look at this week, it was actually caused because of some people actually buying it up before we have it drop down again. So it has to be a gap between the week, right, and this week. Can you see that? So that is what we call fair value gap. Can you see that? So we have another one here, right? Another one, we have another one here. Then we have another one here. Can you see this? This is another fair value gap for a buy. Can you see that? Now, That is very important for you to take note of fair value gap. Now, how do we now bring it together? How do we trade fair value gap? This is how I trade fair value gap. Anytime I want to trade fair value gap, I don't just trade it anyhow. I always trade it with a breaker block. Right? I always trade it with a breaker block, and this is how you can use a breaker block. Now, anytime you see a breaker, just like what we mark like this, right? You know, based on my pattern, just like I said, we have source pattern, something like this, right? Market retests the source and drop, and we have an inverse pattern, something like this. Market retests the source of the inverse and drop. But there are sometimes the market will actually come to the breaker and will not get to the source. So how will you know when to trade at the breaker? How will you know when to trade at the breaker? Now, pay attention to me. Very careful. Please be very careful with this. Anytime we have a breaker block, just like we have this, right? Please pay attention to this information, because these recordings will not be made available until probably after 3 weeks or so. I still have some recordings that I'm here to upload to the YouTube, right? So look at this breaker block. Anytime you have a breaker block like this and you already know that market has already been broken and you want to trade it, if you want to trade it, always see if there is 3 things beside the breaker before you look at it, or before you can really mark that breaker as well the market reject from. Always watch 3 things from that zone. What are the 3 things? Let's mention them. What are the 3 things to watch? Let's mention them. Number 1, beside a breaker, that's for you to trade a breaker block. Number 1, you want to see an OB beside it, another block, right? Beside it. Very, very important. Another block beside it. Number 2, you want to see a king OB, right, beside it. Or number 3, you want to see a fair value gap. If none of these 3 are present beside your breaker block, then, or beside your LSB block, or beside your BMS, then it is not a good zone for you to buy or for you to sell that particular pair, right? So this is just to limit your number of trades that you're going to take. When we market come to a breaker and reverse, market will come to a breaker and reverse if these 3 particular options are present. An order block, a king OB, and fair value gap. And this is how you make use of your fair value gap. This is how you make use of your king OB. This is how you make use of your order block beside a breaker. Order block can be traded without a breaker, right? But anytime you have breaker and order block placed together, this is actually a very good zone for market to reject from. Very, very important thing that you must take note of. Now, and the reason why this is actually very important, I'm actually going to be showing you that. Not because the breaker is actually causing the rejection, but this is actually what is causing the rejection. I will show you how in a moment. Now, let's go back to our chart, and let me go back to the end of this chart. Now, the first thing you're going to see here is a fair value gap. See how market really respond to this fair value gap. Why did the market respond to this fair value gap? Now, you're going to see that. Look at this zone. This is a rejection zone. Can you see this? Market was rejecting around this area, and we can really call this a breaker, right? This is a breaker. Market, because this was actually broken, market broke this level, so that's a breaker. Then market was rejecting around this area, so that's a rejection zone, right? And a breaker is there. You know, our breaker should also serve as a support or a resistance. Now, what we now support the validity, or what we validate this particular breaker block, is because of this fair value gap that is here. Now, mind how I mark this fair value gap. Can you see this? Can you see the fair value gap? Now, this is a daily candle. This is a daily candle, and it's beside this other block. Now, this is not automatic. There's a reason why this particular zone is going to serve as a rejection zone for this block. Now, we are going to see the theory, or the particular makeup, or the combination of candles that make up this particular fair value gap. Now, you can go to lower time frame, let's say 1 hour, and you will really, let me go back to that daily again. Let's go to 1 hour, then you will really see that in this fair value gap that we've marked, we actually have an OB in beside that zone. Can you see this? Now, this is a breaker. Inside this breaker, I mean, inside this fair value gap, we have an OB here. Can you see this OB inside this fair value gap? But we also have another fair value gap that we should also focus on that should be closed. And beside it, this process can actually be taking so much time. It doesn't require these things that I'm doing, but you just need to understand the reason why market needs to reject from that zone. And you can see that there's another rejection zone here, or probably at most this particular area. So which will now makes market to reject at this particular zone. Now, if you go back to daily, you will see that that is actually the zone that the market rejected from. Can you see that? Can you see? You might have seen something like this on my chart using the fair value gap. You can actually go back to the recent chart I've marked, probably from last week or per week. Then you're actually going to see how I use the fair value gap. It's beside the breaker, and you will see how market really pull back to that zone. So this is how to use a breaker block. Now, this is a breaker. This took our liquidity, market come here and break this high again. Market pull back into the zone with a fair value gap. You see how market pushed away from that zone. This is a breaker. This is another breaker for a sell. Can you see this? Market, this was the last OB before market took out this high. And this is about how many candles now? 2 candles. So it's very valid. That broke this high. 2 candles, right? So when you mark this breaker block, beside it, you can see an OB, right? So that will make your other block to, this particular fair value gap to be, breaker block to be very, very effective. And the reason why is because now this particular other block that is beside this breaker will not just stand alone. It's actually representing something on a lower time frame, just like what we marked this area to be. Now let's go to 4-hour time frame and see. Now in the 4-hour time frame, now you see that this is actually a lower high. Can you see that? And this is a particular order block that this market eventually rejected from. So it's a very, very important thing, even though you can as well mark this particular candle, right, this particular one as to reduce the other block. Can you see how market really pull back to that zone and reject? So this is how to use your breaker block. Many people are actually just using it anyhow, not knowing the theory or the reason why a candle or a particular, a particular price rejects at a particular zone. They are just trading anyhow, but they don't really know the reason why these things are happening. Now I'll be focusing on this one pair, and for us to really locate what we are looking at, I'm looking for another one that has King Gobi so that I can really balance everything here. But if I cannot find that, you can as well backtest this by yourself. Now, King Gobi should not be used alone ordinarily. No, you can't use it ordinarily. I've seen a guy after teaching King Gobi, he came to me and said, "Oh, it's not working." But I said, "You should just be patient. I have not teach you everything. It's just gradually that I'm going to unveil something to you, right? It's gradually. It's not immediately that I'm just going to teach you all what I know for free." Now, let's look out for another one. Now, this is another breaker block, right? This is another breaker block. This is another fair value gap. You can see how market, this is a breaker, this particular candle. And you can see that in between this area, we have fair value gap. This is actually a buying trade. We have fair value gap. Then you see how market pull back to this zone. Then how it actually got rejected. We can mark this zone as fair value gap. Right. You see how market pull back, right, to that zone. The market get rejected. This is a breaker. The market came back and pulled back to this rejection zone. Can you see that? Very, very important thing that you must take note of. Right. So this is a breaker, and market really did that thing there. This is another one. Can you see? This is a breaker. Then we have an order block beside it. So with this, you can mark this OB instead of this breaker. You can mark this OB beside it. Or if there's a fair value gap, mark the fair value gap. That is really where market will come back to reject from. Right? That's really where market will come back to reject from. Now, why are we marking this? Because on a lower time frame, which is 8-4 1 hour time frame, it is actually a lower high. Now let's go back to 8-4 for you to see. Let's go back to the H4. Right, you can see on H4, this is a what? A lower high. Then we can reduce this OB like this. Then you will see that's where market get rejected from. Can you see that? This is where the market pull back from. So look at the rejection, the market breakdown. Now, this should be based on your directional bias, right? This is actually another block, so market really pull back to the other block rather than the stuff. Now, you can find these examples and really backtest this and see the effectiveness of what I'm showing you. Now, look at this breaker block. At this breaker block, right, we have a fair value gap. Can you see that? So if I want to trade this, I will only mark this fair value gap as where I'm expecting market to pull back to, right? This fair value gap, that's what I'm going to mark as where I'm expecting market to pull back to, right? Or King Gobi, if there's a King Gobi that is there, mark the King Gobi, right? This is where I'm expecting market to pull back to. But on the lower time frame, let's say 1 hour, this is really on 1 hour time frame, you can spot an order block here. Just like what I did for the other block, if you see another block beside it, you can go to a lower time frame and you can as well. Oh, this market will not go as far as I think it's because of my. I don't want it to be hanging. Let me quickly do that to increase the number of bars. Um, let's see if that will really give us something. But this might really cause the market to be hanging. Let's go back to that zone. So we have something like this, let's say 1 hour time frame. It's not really going back to that zone, but it's actually as easy as that. Let's go back to 4 hour time frame and see when we have a breaker block and something like that. Can you see this particular zone on 4 hour time frame? I can as well reduce this OB to this particular one and get a precise zone that this market will get from. Actually, this is what should be taught in my mentorship class, how to refine it, how to get a definite zone where the market will really reject from. And if you go to daily time frame, you will see that this is where we marked, this is where market pull back to and rejection. But let's just go to what we are really looking at for today. A breaker. Now, this is a breaker. This is something like a breaker. If you go to lower time frame, this is actually a breaker. Okay, I guess market actually retest that particular order block. I'm just looking for another example, right? This is a breaker, and this is another block beside it. Look at how market pulled back to that zone and got rejected there, then fell. Let's look at for another example. If we can get a very good one, a breaker and an order block. Right. Which one? So you can really backtest that. I actually did not have any specific one. I would have really show it to you that for you to trade a breaker block, you need a fair value gap, and this is how you trade fair value gap also. I don't know how I teach how to use fair value gap, but for me, this is how I can teach you how to use a fair value gap. You use that as a rejection zone. So I think let me just take questions. You can backtest this by yourself and just see examples. A king will be beside it, how market reject from that. Then you can also see my flashcard. Let me just share my screen and share the flashcard if that is possible, right? Let me just share the flashcard for you to see that. If I can get anyone, I guess. Uh, right. This is an example of a fair value gap. Can you see how market get rejected there? Look at this zone. It might actually be very small. Can you see how I get a precise zone where the market will reject from? So that's an example of how to use a fair value gap. Look at how market pull back to the zone and look at the trade I got. And let's look out for another one. If I can really get, I'm sure I marked some zone for a King Gobi, and this is an example of a fair value gap. How to use a King Gobi. I think there is a King Gobi in this particular zone, and as you can see, this is a breaker. This particular candle is a breaker. This is a lower high. Market came back and break this particular zone. Can you see? Is that exactly at this zone? Can you see how market pulled back to that King Gobi and fell? Right. So let's look at for another example. This is another example of a fair value gap. Can you see that? This is a breaker here. Market pull back to that zone. Can you see that? So that is an example Lastly, King OB. This is a breaker and this is a King OB here, right? Can you see how market pull back to that King? Because there is a breaker here, right? Then market did what? Market get rejected there, then fell. So these are how to use the fair value gap, the King OB, and the likes. Right, guys, I believe that I've actually shared to you so much things today, all right? And you can backtest this and really get value for what I've really shared with you. So thank you for joining. So if you have questions, you can ask me so that I can really answer you in this section. Thank you for joining in, guys. Thank you. For you, right? If you want to take a fair value gap, you cannot just take anywhere, because you can have many, right, on a zone. You cannot just take it anywhere. A fair value gap that is most effective, and for you to really spot your reversal zone from it, must be beside the breaker block, right? It must be beside the breaker block for you to really consider it as the zone where the market get rejected from. For example, look at this. This is a fair value gap, isn't it? But there is nothing for us to really buy from here, right? Because a bullish fair value gap, you look to buy from there, and a bearish fair value gap, you look to sell from there. So anyone that is not beside a breaker, then you cannot make use of it. This is another one. The reason why this one worked, right, is because it's beside the breaker. Now, this is a King OB. Can you see this is a King OB? Can you see how market get rejected from there? Do you know the reason why this actually got rejected from here? Because there's actually a breaker here. Can you see this breaker? Right. And we have a King OB here. So with this, I can mark this zone as where the market will get rejected from. Now, if this is a King OB, I can as well go to lower time frame and get a pinpoint zone where this particular zone will actually get rejected from. Let's go to 4-hour time frame. I'm not sure, but let's see. 4-hour time frame. Can you see that it's actually another block in the 4-hour time frame? Likewise, if you go to 1-hour time frame, you can really see that this is an order block in 1-hour time frame. Then I can as well look for where this market reject. Can you see how rejection came about? Look at the daily. Can you see the exact zone that this market get rejected from? So that is what many people don't know. They just think just trade breaker, just trade source, trade fair value gap. No, you need to find this particular rejection zone at a specific zone. So we have fair value gap everywhere in the market, but you need to see it at an exactly a particular, a specific zone. Please take note of that. Very, very important. So thank you again. Thank you once again for joining us. OB equals to order block, right? FEG right? Right. Then LSB. I think these are the abbreviation that we have used in this class, right? BMS. Right. So these are what we have used. What again? I guess that is all. Right. LG, right? I think LG, we use LG. So that's liquidity graph.
Hello.
So these are the abbreviation I will use in this class. All right.